Hey, what's up, guys? It's Brian from Whisper Status 74. We're going to talk today about LG's lineup, CES. Their show was this morning. We'll talk about that now as the Sony show is wrapping up. The tough thing about both LG, Samsung, and Sony with their shows is, they are also, appliance makers as well, and their shows are broad versus some of the other TV manufacturers where we get, kind of what we want pretty quickly. You have to kind of go through autonomous cars and a lot of prototypes to get to the TV. So we'll talk about Sony tomorrow. We didn't talk much about Samsung, as a lot of their stuff was their modular TVs, just like LG has done their roll-up TVs, things that, while exciting, are, in my opinion, kind of just prototypes, even though they say that the LG roll-up from the top will be available this year. That's not something a lot of us are going to be able to really look at or spend any time with. So it's like a lot of these trade shows, it's a lot of prototypes. We've been watching mini LED and micro LED, I should say micro LED, for years, and I just want to hear more about when that's actually coming. So we're going to stay here with LG now. We'll cover Samsung in the wrap-up in a few days, and we'll talk about Sony tomorrow. LG. What I want to say really quickly about LG is they did change their lineup quite a bit with their numbering system. They're looks like they're done with the C9, C10, C11. They have 13 different OLEDs, which is quite a bit. So we're gonna go through this article, which helps wrap it up. But watching the press conference myself, again, it's a lot of technology in regards to their AI and a lot of the marketing that many of us see on the side of the box, but not sure if we're going to see on the screen, namely film mode, which they brought up Christopher Nolan to talk about. And I know Sony had done like a Netflix mode with the Z9F that I didn't really hear much about or didn't really notice a big difference with, where they basically show you exactly what the director had intended. What's ironic is a lot of times many of us don't like the way that looks, as it turns off all processing. So things like that have always been a little bit of marketing, in my opinion, but it's all still exciting stuff. When LG is as good as they are with their OLEDs, I'm not sure how much they can really improve in terms of the technology, in terms of the specs. Will it be higher peak brightness? But we're talking about a lot of 8K TVs. They did talk a lot about their nano cell technology, which I'd love to see, honestly. The nano cell being so hyped last year and not being very different than a lot of their displays before, their LEDs. And there's a lot of talk about them sabotaging their own LEDs to make way for their OLEDs. I'm not sure if I agree with that. I just know that a lot of their resources are obviously on OLED. I wish they would do a little bit more in terms of making nanocell, not just with the 9000, but below, make it just more competitive. And see if you can really spend time with the LED market for people that can't afford OLEDs. Right now, it's even the bottom OLEDs are expensive. So you'd like to see them offer, a better, more fleshed out nano cell, especially if they're going to be 8K. 8K doesn't mean anything if there's a lot of blooming and bad screen uniformity and all kinds of highlighting. Just spend some time and make those LEDs, for all walks of life, and then have your OLEDs be your OLEDs. So, we'll talk a little bit about this article. The Gallery series is what they're talking about here. New Gallery series OLEDs that hang flush against the wall thanks to a new custom mount that can double as both a TV and a piece of art. They will be in 55 inches, 65 inches, and 77 inches. They also have very interesting models in terms of the amount of sizes included. They have the CX, the GX, the ZX, the RX, the WX, the BX. So really interesting lineup everywhere. The nano cell, the 80, the 85, the 90, the 97. The numbers are a little all over the place. They've gotten away from the 9000. So that's always difficult for those of us that are trying to talk about corresponding years. We saw that this year with the Q70 and the Q7FN, not exactly corresponding to each other with Samsung. So when they get away from this, it's hard to really see what the next year offers. You know that the C9 and you know the B9 with the C8 and the B8, you know where they stand in the lineup. This is going to change that a little bit. Let's see. You know, the TV is our approach. Again, Samsung has done that as well. Samsung's the frame display was different than the rest of their QLED line. It didn't actually do very well reviewed. It was using the novelty of that picture frame. So we'll see if these OLEDs are as good as regular OLEDs, other than just having the whole frame concept for people that want to have works of art on their wall. I saw some of them at Value Electronics, some of their displays. They look like actual pieces of art. It's pretty amazing. I'm not sure a lot of us care much about that, but it's there. So for those not interested in LG's luxury series, there are excellent updates to the regular OLED lineup. What is exciting, though, is to announce a 48-inch 4K OLED TV is pretty awesome. You know, when they're talking about pixel density being comparable to a 96-inch 8K TV, meaning that the reason that they're saying that is with an 8K resolution at 96 inches, the pixel density, while larger, has so many more pixels that a 48-inch OLED, because of its size and its pixel density, will actually, in effect, almost be like an 8K display in terms of its amount of pixels and then the pixel density, which we all know makes a much cleaner and sharper image. Now, the biggest focus that I've seen with OLEDs lately is interesting simply because burn-in is still something that people are so concerned with. I personally do not fear it. I know how to avoid it, as many of you do. But it's so interesting, if they're so bad for gaming as so many people think, why is Gsync and NVIDIA's only sponsored or partnered with LG last year, not with any other company, not Samsung, not anybody else. They've doubled down on that this year. So basically, all their displays will have Gsync, which is incredible, and it won't be forced. And then here's the new Filmmaker Mode. Now here is your lineup. The RX Signature Series, which is the rollable one at 65 inches. Then you also have the ZX Signature Series 8K, similar to the one you saw me do the film on at Value Electronics at 88 inches. This year it was the Z9, 77 inch. Then the WX Signature Series wallpaper, 65 inches. And then here at your Signature Series 77 inch, 65 inch, 55 inch, CX 77. So I imagine, some of these will be 4K, but, who knows how much they're going to be going in with also nano cell. But it's interesting to see that they have this many in their lineup. So the CX series may be similar to the C series that we know, being that they added this 48 inch, so I imagine these are 4K. And then this goes with your B series. So very, very interesting, but not really anything crazy new. The smaller OLED is exciting for those of you that do want to use it as a monitor. And like I said, I think they're the best gaming TVs in the market, with Samsung just behind them. Burn-in can be avoided. I know it's a very controversial topic. I don't fear it personally, also being owner of Plasma for many, many years. But seeing that Gsync is really, and NVIDIA are partnering with them for OLED, it doesn't make sense for them to partner with one company and have that be one that's not good for gaming. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, what they did talk a lot about was Real 8K, which is a shot at Samsung, talking about how the pixels are formed, saying that Samsung doesn't have Real 8K. Again, I'm not sure that is accurate or more just marketing. I do know that Dolby Vision IQ, Filmmaker Mode, and HGIG, the broadcast, a lot of this is, at least with these two, for me, it's a lot of marketing, as well as a lot of talk about the processors and what they promise. So there's a shot of the 8K OLED there. There was an interesting part in one of these articles here where it talked about NVIDIA being able to force Gsync on HDMI 2.0, or at least force it through see if I can find it. Force it through. Here we go. This is it. It's expanding NVIDIA Gsync capability for tear-free gaming to 12 OLED models this year, and these TVs are the first ones to support HGIG mode. That one is developed by the HCR Gaming Interest Group. Again, who knows what the heck that really means, but which includes both Microsoft and Sony, and it's intended to make sure games are playable across different types of screens using HDR with the experience their creators intended. Now, I do like this part here. LG has worked with NVIDIA to support 4K gaming at 120 Hz and is including HDMI overrides that will allow access to features that PC gaming cards might not be able to toggle on with their HDMI 2.0 outputs. Now, you may say to yourself, if these displays are HDMI 2.1, why does that matter? It matters, guys, because the RTX 2080 Ti, my GTX 1080 Ti, all of the most powerful graphics cards as of now are HDMI 2.0. So unless you're able to use DisplayPort, which these TVs do not have, even if you have a C9 or any of these displays, you cannot access 4K at 120, even though the cards themselves can. What I mean by that too is even a GTX 1080 Ti card like I have can definitely play some old games at 4K 120. It wouldn't matter if I had HDMI 2.1 because the card is 2.0. So why I like this is if you're buying a brand new TV with HDMI 2.1, it's going to be another $1,000 or $2,000 to buy a powerful HDMI 2.1 card if and when NVIDIA and AMD release their cards. So the fact that they'll be able to actually force through NVIDIA control panel to do 4K to 120 Hertz, that is great news, because that would help those of you that have a C9 now, or I think a B9 it might have the same, but you know, that'll be great. That's great news. I wish they did that this year, but it does show you that they're definitely doubling down on the gaming aspects of OLEDs. Now, guys, I don't mean to push away the burn-in situation and treat it like it's not a real thing. I know it happens to many people. I'm not being insensitive to it. I just know that it can be avoided. I know if your display burns in automatically very quickly, that's just a defective panel. There are freak times that it does happen. Just like with LED, there are freak occurrences where things go wrong. But I know plenty of people in the community that definitely game on OLEDs. Please let me know what you think in the comments as far as gaming on OLEDs. I've done tons of videos playing OLED games and my opinion on them. Let me know what you think. Are you excited about what you see from LG's lineup? The fact that there's more displays, more 4K, more 8K, hopefully that means it'll be more affordable, as you're seeing Vizio and other companies releasing their OLEDs as well. Maybe they'll drop their price. I believe this is the 48-inch right here. But that's awesome. That way you can sit at the desk and actually play. I know they have some LG lineup models for their monitors as well. I don't really cover monitors, but very, very interesting. Because they're showing it here as a PC monitor. So in some ways, that's exciting. The fact that they have that big a lineup of displays this year, 13 OLEDs, you know, quite a few nanocells. That's a lot to go through. Again, my take from it is I would love to see them stop with the marketing of nanocells and really focus on making them as good as they sound. I think that's very, very attractive to many people. LG is something that people gravitate towards too. But a lot of times in the community, a lot of people are having problems with their LG LEDs. So if you're going to do LEDs, don't just make that a farm system for your OLEDs, and really focus on making those displays affordable. And it looks like they're going to have the specs that the OLEDs are going to have in terms of HDMI 2.1. There's going to be 8K models. That's great, but like we said before, 8K means absolutely nothing if you have light bleed everywhere and you have horrible blooming on their images. And you should make those displays quality all the way around, from the ones you sell at Costco to the ones you sell at high-end stores. So not a lot to report. Again, a lot of this, you know, Dolby Vision IQ, there's different certifications that they have. For me, something like this Filmmaker Mode, we'll talk a little bit about that. last year by the UHD Association that gives a one-click setting to disable post-processing. Now, what's interesting about this is even the game latency modes that are talked about so much on a lot of our TVs, and even this Filmmaker Mode, I love how it's something that they've marketed as a big deal. Auto low latency, all it means is it puts your TV into game mode automatically. This is almost saying that, hey, you'll just click a button and you'll be, motion interpolation and dynamic contrast free. That's not really a mode to me. That doesn't really mean a lot. It's almost like a lot of the TH certification that was very special at one time and then was thrown on every receiver. It didn't matter how expensive or how good it was. So LG, not a lot new. This kind of stuff I don't care a lot about. Do you care about this flat to the wall? I just really care about what I see on the screen. That's just me. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of CES so far. Is it hard for you to get through these press conferences, to separate facts from prototypes? For me, even Sony with this autonomous vehicle that you see in the corner, that stuff is all great. When will I see it? So that's the way I am even with video games. I don't want to see demos of games that are coming out in 5 years. I want to see what's coming out and what's more realistic. LG's already got amazing displays, and kind of like Samsung, it's hard to wow because they already have really good products and their picture quality is actually pretty amazing. So I don't know where they go, but the 48 one, exciting. The continued licensing and partnership with NVIDIA is definitely exciting. And again, guys, not to beat a dead horse, but why would NVIDIA partner with somebody who can't have gaming displays? So having the nano cells at 8K, that's great. But I would, even seeing it really popped, I want to hear how it looks with blooming and how it looks with its black and its uniformity of black levels. That's what I want to see from nanocell, is get the nanocell to compete with the Q90s of the world and the Sonys of the world, and then we'll really talk. Because it would be amazing to see OLEDs offer a wide variety and then have nanocell in there as really good LEDs, and then you can have your other brands. But for them to really tout the nanocell as a high-end LED was really wrong in some ways. I thought that they weren't great last year except for the 9000 series, and they really should. If they're going to put these things up on screen next to their OLEDs, I really wish they'd spend more time and more effort in making those as good as they possibly can. All right, guys, thank you so much as always. That was the LG overview. Nothing really new except for a ton of displays as far as a ton of models to make it even more difficult for us to discern what's what. A smaller OLED, hopefully that will be somewhat affordable for those of you that want something in the 48, because we see so many high-end TVs not be 48 or 49 inches anymore, so that's interesting. And what do you think? 8K is here. You're going to start seeing people say 8K versus real 8K. We saw that with HD. What do you guys think about that? Are you starting to warm up to 8K? Are you starting to care more? It's something that you want to have. We've also said in the past, 8K for productivity and for content creators is very important. Photographers, filmmakers, 8K is important. So we don't need to kill everybody that's got an 8K display out there. But is it something that you guys are thinking about? Does it matter to you? I'm glad that LG still has a 4K lineup as well. That's the only thing I really cared about. And that's where we are. All right, guys, let me know what you think in the comments. I hope everybody is doing well. We will cover Sony tomorrow, as well as the rest of our Vizio Quantum XP series. We'll also be doing a review of Joker in the next couple days on Blu-ray or 4K Blu-ray. And I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.